This is the all-new Hyundai Inster, and I think it could be one of the best small EVs currently on sale. I'm Daniel Achterhuis, and you're watching Daniel Drives. So the kind people at Hyundai lent me this car for a week, and it actually goes back tomorrow. I've had a good amount of time driving this car, whether that's around at night, during the day, country lanes to motorways. I've really got to know this car, and it's been a car that I've really enjoyed. Small cars need to be celebrated. We live in a world where there are so many bloated SUVs that just take up so much space, and let's be honest, are the exact opposite of what we need. You know, they're heavy, inefficient, and they don't even look that nice. Whereas cars like these, they have character, they have a soul. A few months ago, I had the pleasure of reviewing the Renault 5, and that's a car that's similar to this in the way that it's very lovable. I left my house yesterday, or a couple of days ago, and actually got stopped by one of my neighbours who's really interested in this car, because, I mean, just look at it. From a design point of view, this car is definitely a winner. I mean, South Korean cars have always looked quite funky, especially those from the past sort of 5-10 years. Hyundai and Kia have really kind of taken the car market by storm in the past decade. Just look at it. It's got some really kind of retro, funky design aspects to it. And it looks different. And it's going to be very subjective. There are going to be people in the comments that go, that car looks really ugly. And I understand that, because some people do think it's ugly. I see it as something that's quite unique, it's quite cute, and I quite like it for being quite rebellious and being quite unashamed about the fact it stands out. Now, the Insta's retro design does this car a lot of favours, because it's actually very spacious inside for the size of car it is. When you search up Hyundai Insta online, it actually comes up as an SUV, and it's easy to see why, because on photographs and stuff, it looks like a much bigger car than it is. It's got the proportions of quite a chunky car, when actually it's a really, really narrow car. It's an easy car to wind around all your local towns and cities, and that's what this car is made for. Now, when this car was announced from Hyundai, it was, I think, around last summer, and I just started my new podcast at the time, the Daniel Drives podcast, and I spent, I think, about half an episode raving about this car, just saying how much I liked it and appreciated it for being something different. And yeah, it's really been a fantastic week just to spend some time with it. And there's been a couple of annoyances. I've got a few minor gripes, which you can kind of forgive, but I will mention those later in the video. But yeah, I just wanted to start this video with a great deal of positivity, because I've grown to really like this car. So we've come here today to Bala Lake to film this video, and isn't it beautiful? A bit like the rear end of the Hyundai Insta. Beautiful is probably the wrong word, actually. It's very funky, and you can definitely see certain design elements that have kind of been pinched from, I think, probably the Suzuki Ignis. Definitely the squat rear wheel arches and stuff. It's quite plumped out, and it gives it, you know, what is a small car, a lot of road presence, which is obviously what people like these days. But again, the retroness continues around the rear end, and it's something that Hyundai have really been nailing. When you go back to like the Ioniq 5, for example, which is a very good car, you've got kind of the 80s video game pixel effect rear lights, and when they're on, they look really cool. I will insert some B-roll. And it continues as well to the brake lights as well. They're a sort of LED pixel effect. And I just think it's really cool. People look at that and go, I really want to have one of those, just because it looks really funky. The boot space of the Hyundai Insta is not very good. It kind of lets this car down a little bit, but there's a good reason for that. It's 238 litres in size. It's quite shallow, so me and my dad did a food shop in this car, and you do struggle to get your shopping bags in, actually. There is a false floor, so you can hide away all your cables and all the usual gubbins, but you can slide the rear seats independently, so you can choose whether you want more room for your rear occupants, or whether you want more boot space. And even when you've got the rear seats slid all the way forward, there's still room in the back for your rear passengers, and you get the benefit of a really long boot. And obviously you can lose the parcel shelf if you'd like. Not sure how this comes out, actually. Just like that, there you go. We can lose the parcel shelf. That can go away somewhere in the bin, in the garage where it usually goes. And then you can fit your Nürburgring tote bag from the Nürburgring itself. And you've got a decent boot now. This is much better, actually. But yeah, it's a bit of a compromise, really. The rear legroom in this car is phenomenal, and it's clear that Hyundai have focused on the passenger space rather than the boot space, but I think it's brilliant that you've got the choice. For a car of this shape and size, the room in the rear of the car is really quite phenomenal. It really shocked me, actually, when I first got into the back of this. So you've got your hidden away door handle, which is kind of a trend in modern car design. Door opens really, really nice and wide, which is really good, because there's nothing worse than trying to cramp yourself into the back of a small car like this. And then it's just easy to get in. It's so surprising in the back of here. That's the one thing that really let the Renault 5 down for me, was the room in the back. You almost just couldn't have adults in. Now I'm 6'2", I have my driver's seat all the way back, kind of no matter what car I'm in, it's all the way back. I just like being quite reclined. I have got more than enough legroom. It's really, really surprising actually. And headroom is just phenomenal. You do feel like you're almost in a bit of a fish tank in this car. And I mean that in a good way, as a compliment to this car. It's so airy. A lot of modern cars are really claustrophobic. And I'll just shut this door because you've got really massive windows as well. So your rear passengers kind of aren't made to feel travel sick and kind of tied together. Now it's not a 5-seater, it's a strict 4-seater, but again, that's a pretty good thing, because what's the point in having the 5th seat if it's going to be cramped? You may as well have 2 really good ones in the rear instead. Completely flat floor obviously, because there's no transmission tunnel. That continues to the front, which is something I do like. So you've got one carpet mat that goes across the whole car, which is quite cool. Bit of a nightmare to hoover probably, but yeah, it's nice in the back of here. You've got speakers in the back of the doors, you've got your door pockets and everything, nice style door handles. It's a real pleasant surprise in the back of the Inster. Right, so let's climb aboard the little South Korean fish tank. That's what I'm going to call it now. What a cabin. It's really nice in here actually. So you've got a little EV start-stop button, you click that, car launches into life. And I really like these opening graphics. And what's really nice, if I just turn off Trevor Nelson, is when you go through the drive modes on your steering wheel, it actually changes the sort of design of the dash in front of you. And you've got a little sort of LED lighting sequence. Again, those 80s pixel style design elements. It's really cool. And Hyundai, sorry, as it said. Oh, I know I get it wrong at some point in this video. I've obviously spent a lot of time thinking about that, adding little bits to this car that can kind of give it a personality, because it's the whole thing with a lot of EVs. There's that myth that they're soulless and they've got nothing about them that's interesting. That's such a lie. These cars are actually really exciting, and you can love them just as much as you love a petrol car. So let's talk about the infotainment screen. It's quite wide, it's quite narrow, which is quite nice. It's got Apple CarPlay, plug-in only, and you've got your map built in and everything. You've got your radio, obviously, DAB. You can have your Bluetooth. It does everything you'd want it to do. It's not lightning quick to respond, but to be honest, I've not really used the system much. I kind of just get into this car, plug my phone in and use the CarPlay because it's so good. But you've got quite a few insights into your EV driving and stuff. You can see kind of the delay. It's not, you know, super responsive, but for a car of this price bracket, we'll come to the price later on in the video, you can kind of forgive it for that. But yeah, it's not too bad. It does attract fingerprints, but every screen does, to be honest. But really my favourite thing about this cabin is the existence of the buttons. The buttons are back, ladies and gentlemen. There's been lots of studies with NCAP, the regulatory board. They do all the safety for cars, and they've said they're going to start judging cars based on whether they have buttons or not. Again, which is good, because buttons are safer, because you can use them while, you know, looking at the road ahead of you. And all your climate controls down here are all physical buttons, which is really nice, and they're nice to use. They're easy to understand. You've got buttons for your heated seats. You've got your reversing camera on there as well, which you can have on while driving, unbelievably. Parking sensors. Everything's just quite easy to use, and it's quite clear that Hyundai recognise the target market for this car, which is perhaps maybe even elderly people coming out of their like i10s or cars similar to that into a car like the Inster. It really suits the bill very, very well indeed. It's just very airy in here. Again, a lot of headroom and everything. The windscreen is very upright, so you've got a nice view. Let sort of light into the cabin. It's just very pleasant really in the front of here. My one thing, I have this gripe with almost every car I step inside. The seat for me doesn't go far back enough. So I do find myself having my kind of accelerator foot quite jolt upright, and it can kind of ache your foot after a couple of hours. And we did drive just over an hour and a half, 2 hours to get here, and I did start to feel it. But it's a city car, it's not built for the longer distances, and to be honest, as a whole, it's a very comfortable car to drive. Right, so this car being the Inster 02, which is the highest spec model, it's fitted with the 49 kilowatt hour battery. It's the biggest battery. You can, with the Inster 01, you can get a smaller battery option, which is just 42 kilowatt hours, but this one is the 49. Let me have a look. You can charge it DC rapid charging at 120 kilowatts, which is actually faster than the Renault 5. So that's one boast that Hyundai can have. And that means charging from 10 to 80% at one of those DC rapid chargers in just 30 minutes. Now, the charge flap in this car, I was kind of unsure. I went to do the first charge at home and I was like, where is it? Very clever, it's integrated here at the front of the car. So if I bring cameraman Jacob forward, there it is. Pros and cons to this. Now, let's start with the cons. It's quite vulnerable, I guess. If people are walking to and from the car, it's going to be bashed. And also, really, it's recommended to reverse park wherever you go, on your driveway or wherever you go. It's just safer. So you're driving forwards rather than reversing out onto a main road. But to be honest, for ease of access, this is just better because it means that you don't have to think about which side the charger's on or anything. You can just drive straight forward into your charging bay and plug in. So I found this really neat. It's also got a little LED light as well that can help you at night time. This car has vehicle to load, which means what you can do is you can use it to power other things. So let me take you to the front of the car because I brought a little prop. Like I did with the Renault 5 with a little strimmer, I brought along my own personal bedroom lamp. Quite funny, when I bought this, and every night when I turn it off before going to sleep, my beauty sleep, I didn't think I'd be taking it to Bala to demonstrate the Hyundai Inster. But there's a little 3-pin plug down in the centre console, and I only found this morning, annoyingly. I spent the whole week going, does this car have it? And it turns out it does. So you plug the lamp in, there you go. And just like that, you've got a lamp. Now, obviously, you're not going to be plugging in lamps, but it's a nice idea. You can plug into almost anything you want. Jacob behind the camera brought up a really good point about mini fridges and stuff. You can use that to use this car to power it. There's also maybe you want to plug in an Xbox or something while you're charging. I don't know. You can do anything you want, and that's kind of the beauty of the flexibility of this car. But it's actually a really good idea to have that 3-pin plug option. So let's continue with the old Daniel Dry's book of notes. Let's talk about some of the specs for the little Inster. So obviously this got the 49 kilowatt hour battery, and that gives this car a WLTP range of 229 miles. And I've got to say something about this car, it's very honest with its range figures. We left today, where we live in Nantwich, with a range of about 244 miles. We drove 60 miles-ish, and it only used about 60 miles of range. It's very, very honest to what it claims at the beginning of the drive. It's got an 85.5 kilowatt hour motor at the front, driving the front wheels. That is equivalent to about 113 brake horsepower. Doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but because it's electric, you've got instant torque, it feels a lot nippier. 0 to 60 in just 10.6 seconds. Again, not what this car is going to be doing, 0 to 60 sprints, it's purely a city car. Top speed, irrelevant, 93 miles per hour. 147 newton meters of torque, which is quite a lot. 108 pound-feet of torque, that is. I talked about charging already. The insurance group is 23, similar to the Renault 5. So if you are a new driver and you're very fortunate to have a new car as your first car, then this is definitely an option. So this car being the, as I said, top spec O2 with the tech pack, which is a £500 option, which gives you some other bits and bobs. This is priced at just under £29,000, which is actually a very, very good price. There's some really attractive lease deals on these, so definitely something to consider. But the Inster 01, which is still a very good car, you can have it with the bigger battery, it's just some less kit. You don't get the LED lights and a few of the other things. That is priced from £23,505. And obviously there's the EV grant now that this might be eligible for. So definitely something to consider. There's quite a few colours you can choose from. This is the dusk blue colour. It's a matte paint, not a colour I'd go for, if I'm honest, because on videos and pictures it just looks black. And when it's dirty as well, it doesn't look that good. But there's plenty of other options as well. There's Atlantis White, Tomboy Orange, which is probably my favourite colour, Aero Silver Matte, there's Abyss Black Pearl, Buttercream Yellow Pearl, another great colour. There's plenty of colours you can choose from. I'll put a load on screen for you to feast your eyes on. But yeah, it's nice that you can get a quirky car with quirky colours because the colour palette options on so many modern cars are just very boring, just a sea of grey. So yeah, another car, there's another option of this car I haven't mentioned yet, and that is the Cross. And I've only seen pictures, I've not actually seen one in the metal yet. It looks really cool. It's basically an Inster with a roof rack and some plasticky body trim and stuff, and it just looks very purposeful and ready for an adventure. We have hit the road in the Hyundai Inster, and it's obvious, isn't it? It's a small electric car. It is just so simple to drive. It's such a simplistic driving experience, and a nice one at that too. It's very smooth. I mentioned the suspension being really impressive. And yeah, it's no slouch as well. I mean, we drove here 2 hours, about 60 miles to Bala, and it was comfortable, it was quiet, the cabin is nicely insulated, it's perfect. And you've got heated seats. And here's a funny thing actually, I've spent the whole week going, I wish it had a heated steering wheel because the Renault 5 had one, my mum's Megane E-Tech has one. Once you have a heated steering wheel, you kind of struggle to live without one. and I thought this car would be so much better if it had one. Well, today, the day before it goes back to Hyundai, I've discovered the button for the heated steering wheel. So I'm the idiot here, not Hyundai, so I do apologise. But yeah, keep finding all these little things that make me appreciate this car even more. Now, the driver aids aren't great. I mentioned this, they're very, very intrusive. So obviously you've got your lane assist, which keeps you in the lanes, and that sounds like it should be a beneficial feature. But it's actually very, very annoying. Is it going to work now where we're at? It can actually steer itself. So I can just, not supposed to, but you can let go and it can sort of guide you. It's meant as a guide, not as a self-driving measure. But it's just annoying. It's not something you want in a car, not something I want anyway. And it's the same with the what's it called? The speed limit warning. A lot of the times it reads it wrong. If you're breaking the speed limit, fair enough, you're doing something wrong there. But it read a 60-mile-an-hour road as a 20, and then it beeps at you for miles. Not cool. It also thought my residential road was an 80-mile-an-hour limit. But it's all minor things. This is not a problem with the Insta, it's just a problem with modern cars as a whole. This car does drive very, very well indeed. Right, we're on some windy country lanes, and weirdly, this car kind of comes into its own a bit. So we've got the drive mode button, you whack it into sport, and yeah, you've got your instant torque. As I said, it's only about 115 horsepower, but because you've got the instant torque, it just feels so much more rapid. It really does. The one pedal driving is just immense, especially when you're going around lanes, because the moment you lift off the throttle, it slows down for you with the regenerative braking. Honestly, I could quite happily drive this car every day and I'd be really happy. It's got just the right amount of power for the size of car. The steering is quite direct. Suspension is not darty or anything, but it's just super comfortable. It's all useless stuff really, performance. It's not what this car's built for, but my plea to Hyundai is I'd love to see an N version of the Insta. I think that would be very cool. A proper little hot hatch, a bit like the i20N, but in Insta form. I think that'd be fantastic. But no, this car, around these lanes, it just feels a lot of fun. My honest frame of mind is, if this is the quality of small, affordable cars, then my word, the automotive world has progressed so much. The quality of this is just leagues above to, you know, its competitors from years ago. It's a really, really nice, comfortable car to drive, and it doesn't drive like a small car. Like the Renault 5 and a lot of other modern small cars I've been in my time, they drive like much bigger cars now. The technology has just progressed. So there we have it then, the all-new Hyundai Insta. I really like this car and I'm going to be very sad to see it go. There is just one major problem with it though, and it's this, the Renault 5. This car is priced very similarly to this car, and when it's on offer and it looks as good as it does, do you go for the Renault 5 or do you go for the Insta? I think the Insta really is the thinking person's choice, but the heart really does go for the Renault 5. But don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed my time with this car, driver aids aside, and I'm going to be very sad to see it go. We just need more small, quirky cars in this world, especially when they're electric. You've got that instant torque, and it's actually a really exciting car to drive. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Daniel Drives. If you have, remember to like the video, comment down below your thoughts on this car. Maybe you have one, maybe you have one of its rivals. Maybe you prefer that. Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe and follow me on social media at DanielCars05. Stood here? Tonight on Top Gear. No. Daniel Drives, book on notes. I think my honest frame of mind is, if this is the quality of small, bloody hell, Ford Fiesta, you get that on camera?
Yeah.
That was a great link. Oh, I'll do that again. Keep it. There's a chicken in the road. Film the chicken. There's an actual real life chicken in the road. That's the joys of filming in Wales, just the randomness. It's my cameraman Jacob from the road trip, being an absolute child.